You know, they're literally everywhere. Invisible, incredibly simple, and yet they're responsible for some of the most devastating pandemics in human history. We're talking about viruses, of course, but what are they really? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on these microscopic hijackers to understand their fundamental design and their brutally effective strategy for survival. So let's really get into it and break down the structure of these ultimate biological thieves.
All right, first up, the big one. The question scientists have been debating for more than a century. Is a virus actually alive? It sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer is, well, it's really not. I mean, they can replicate and evolve, which definitely sounds like life. But here's the kicker. On their own, they're completely inert. No more alive than a speck of dust.
And when you put them side by side with a living cell, the difference is just stark. A cell is like this bustling, self-sufficient factory, right? It's got all the machinery, ribosomes for building things, a metabolism for energy. But a virus? It's just the blueprint. It's got the instructions, either DNA or RNA, but never both. And that's it. Zero equipment to actually carry them out. It's a set of architectural plans with not a single construction worker on site.
Okay, so this all leads to a really important scientific term, obligate intracellular parasite. I know, it's a mouthful, but it's just a fancy way of saying they absolutely must get inside a living cell to reproduce. They simply can't do it on their own. This parasitic nature, this complete dependence on a host, that's the very essence of what a virus is. It literally has to invade to survive.
So, if we're calling a virus a biological pirate, what's in its toolkit? What does it bring to the job? Let's break down the anatomy of this invader and really look at the blueprint for its microscopic heist.
Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, there's a word you need to know: virion. When a virus is fully assembled, floating around outside a cell, all packed up and ready to infect, that's a virion. Basically, this is the virus in its mobile, attack-ready form.
And that virion has a few key parts. You've got the genetic blueprint with all the instructions for the heist. You have a protective vault to keep that blueprint safe. And for some viruses, you've got this stolen disguise that helps it sneak past the cell's security.
All right, let's start with that blueprint. At the absolute core of every single virus is its nucleic acid, its genome. This can be DNA, like you see in herpes viruses, or it can be RNA, like in the flu virus. This one little bundle of genetic material contains everything the virus needs to know: how to get in, how to take over, and how to build thousands of new copies of itself.
Now, wrapping around that precious genetic blueprint is this super tough protein shell. We call it a capsid, and its main job? It's basically a vault. It protects that fragile DNA or RNA from getting destroyed before it can complete its mission. The shape is unbelievably efficient too, often a perfect 20-sided die shape called an icosahedron. This isn't just for looks, it lets the virus build a really strong shell from just a few repeating protein parts. So smart.
And now for the really clever part, the disguise. Some viruses, what we call enveloped viruses, pull off this incredible trick. As they're busting out of an infected cell, they actually steal a piece of the cell's own outer membrane and wrap themselves in it. This stolen envelope is studded with the virus's own proteins, and it acts like a secret key, helping the virus dock onto and break into new cells. It is a brilliant piece of camouflage.
So we've got all this incredible diversity out there. How on earth do scientists even begin to sort through this huge viral world? Well, they look for clues. It's kind of like creating a suspect lineup for a heist.
And you know, while it can get super complex, a lot of the basic classification really just boils down to two simple questions we've already covered. First, what's their blueprint made of? Is it DNA or RNA? And second, are they wearing that stolen disguise? Are they an enveloped virus or are they what we call a naked virus?
So using just those two clues, we can start sorting viruses into four main buckets. You've got your naked DNA viruses, like adenovirus, which can cause the common cold. Then you've got enveloped DNA viruses, like herpes virus. On the RNA side, you have naked viruses, like poliovirus. And finally, enveloped RNA viruses, like the flu. This simple grid is actually super helpful for scientists to predict how a virus might behave.
Okay, we know the players, we know what's in their toolkit, so now let's watch the actual heist go down. This is the art of the invasion, step by step.
This whole takeover happens in 5 critical stages. First up, attachment. The virus has to lock onto the outside of a specific cell. Then it gets inside and starts uncoding. That protective vault pops open, releasing the hijacking blueprints into the cell.
This kicks off synthesis. The cell's own machinery is forced to read the viral genes and just starts churning out viral parts. Then comes assembly. All these brand new parts just automatically click together, building hundreds of new virions. And finally, the grand finale, release. The new viruses burst out, often destroying the cell completely, ready to start the heist all over again.
So what's the result of this heist? For the host cell, it's often catastrophic. The visible damage we can see under a microscope has a name, the cytopathic effect, or CPE. This can mean the cell shrivels up, fuses with its neighbors into weird giant blobs, or just bursts open like a water balloon. It can get pretty brutal.
And this right here is the key to why we feel so awful when we get sick. That fever, the sore throat, the aches, you're not actually feeling the virus itself. The signs and symptoms of most viral diseases are the direct result of your own cells being killed by this invasion and your immune system's massive response to all that damage.
So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? What's the bottom line? It's that viruses are the ultimate minimalists. They have stripped away everything we think of as necessary for life, creating these lean, mean, biological machines. And they are built for one single purpose: to make more copies of themselves, with a ruthless efficiency that very often comes at our expense.
It's wild, isn't it? They're not technically alive, yet they are absolute masters of evolution, constantly changing, constantly adapting. Their very existence forces us to ask what it even means to be alive. So the real question is, what are these ultimate hijackers going to reveal to us next? Not just about biology, but about our world and about ourselves?